Hello and welcome to News on NTA International. I'm Nancy Godiangunihu, and on sign language is Courage Ogeriahi. First, the headlines. President Bola Tinubu approves establishment of NGI across the country. ECOWAS military chiefs continue their meeting in Accra, Ghana, with resolve to move into Niger if all diplomatic efforts fail. Plus, United States restates its resolve to maintain ties with Niger. West African military chiefs are continuing their meeting on the political situation in the Republic of Niger in Accra, Ghana, with a commitment to abiding by the ECOWAS decision of restoring President Bazoum to power. The army chief. In the meantime, the United Nations rights calls for the restoration of the democratic system in the Republic of Niger and the protection of human rights. During a press briefing in Geneva, Switzerland, spokesperson for the UN Human Rights Office, Ravina Shamdasani, says the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights, Volker Turk, expresses grave concern for the people of Niger and calls on the general to immediately restore constitutional order.
The UN Human Rights Chief Volker Turk expresses grave concern for the people of Niger who have been forced to endure even more misery following last month's military coup. He calls on the generals to immediately restore constitutional order. Niger is one of the poorest countries in the world, extremely vulnerable to climate change. The people have already been through so much hardship over the years. Now the very people who they elected to build a pathway to end their destitution have been removed by force against the constitutional order and detained by the coup leaders. They must be released at once and democracy restored.
Consequently, the United States says it is maintaining diplomatic status with the Republic of Niger, despite the military takeover of power in that country. The U.S. Department of State announced that a new ambassador, Kathleen Fitzgibbon, posted to the country, is heading to take up. Now, amid political crisis, citizens of the West African nation are struggling to get by day by day. Justin Bemunyo reports that many who fled their homes due to jihadist attacks have ended up in the country's capital, Niamey, where they are trying to find food and work.
Niger has been in crisis since mutinous soldiers overthrew the country's President Mohamed Bazoum in July and detained him along with his wife and son. Several people had been displaced from the Telabere region. While they had fled attacks and insecurity, life continued to be hard.
We fled insecurity to come here. We're tired. Some days I find food, other days I don't find food. I left my place of residence to come here. But until now, I'm tired. Some days I can't find food. Some days I can work, other days I can't work.
I pray
for ECOWAS not to come. We lost more than 600 people. I support the military and I curse anyone who doesn't love Niger.
Deputy Secretary General for the Nigerian Party for Democracy and Socialism, Boubacar Sabo, said the president's imprisonment was a bigger issue than just Niger.
If we fight today, it is to prevent these kind of things happening and to ensure a future for our continent.
Niger's coup was seen by the international community and ECOWAS as one too many, and in addition to threatening a military invasion, the bloc has imposed severe economic and travel sanctions.
The United Nations Security Council has sanctioned North Korea over what it described as a violation of human rights. Volker Turk, the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights, told the Council that people in the Democratic People's Republic of Korea have experienced increasingly severe political repression, while economic conditions have worsened with widespread systematic human rights violations. This is coming as the United States sanctioned 3 entities accused of seeking to facilitate arms deal between North Korea and Russia. The U.S. Treasury Department, in a statement, said that Russia has continued to use ammunition and heavy equipment in Ukraine, forcing it to turn to its small pool of allies, including North Korea, for support. And after 4 months of war in Sudan, UN humanitarians have called for an end to the conflict, which are having a devastating impact on the people's lives, health and well-being. Deborah Brookslyn reports.
Records from the United Nations Refugee Agency, UNHCR, reveal that over 4.3 million people have been forced to flee since conflict erupted on April 15 between the Sudanese army and the paramilitary rapid support forces. Latest UN data indicates that more than 900,000 refugees and asylum seekers have fled to neighboring countries, and 195,000 South Sudanese have been forced to leave Sudan.
The disastrous, senseless war in Sudan, born out of a wanton drive for power, has resulted in thousands of deaths, the destruction of family homes, schools, hospitals and other essential services, massive displacement, as well as sexual violence in acts which may amount to war crimes.
Within Sudan, over 3.2 million people have been internally displaced, including more than 187,000 refugees already residing in the country at the start of the crisis.
World Health Organization's spokesperson, Dr. Margaret Harris, lamented that some 67% of hospitals in the affected areas were out of service, denying access to care for tens of thousands of people, with 53 verified attacks on healthcare facilities, resulting in 11 deaths and 38 injured.
More than 40% of the country faces hunger, and about a third of children under 5 are chronically malnourished, making them even more vulnerable to disease. As I'm sure you know, measles and malnourishment equals the death sentence for children under 5.
Just to paint that picture for you a bit more clearly, around 260,000 women are currently pregnant, and almost 100,000 of those will give birth in the next 3 months. Without the critical services, including the hospital and safe delivery, their lives and those of their children and the babies that are going to be the future generation are severely at risk.
UN is urging all parties to the conflict to end the fighting, protect civilians, and give humanitarian organizations unrestricted access to all areas of Sudan. Deborah Brookslyn, NTA News.
On the political scene, after a 2-day meeting and the following months of negotiations between 7 South African opposition parties, the multi-party convention has agreed to work more closely as the country heads towards election in 2024. Details with Justin Bemunyi.
During the ceremony, leaders of the various parties signed the multi-party charter, saying this will pave the way to oust the ruling African National Congress led by President Cyril Ramaphosa. They called on different parties that were not part of the formation to reach out and join their efforts in making sure that the ANC is removed from power, claiming that the country is being misgoverned and the rule of law not respected.
It's a historical moment for South Africa. This is the first in the modern era of South Africa that a coalition is cobbled together before an election campaign.
Today, I believe we have started to build the platform that is going to free South Africans from the ANC and start the work required to fix our country.
For the first time since the advent of democracy in 1994, the African National Congress ANC risks losing its parliamentary majority in 2024 and therefore the presidency. This comes against the background of growing discontent with corruption, an unprecedented energy crisis, and a flagging economy marked by unemployment. Last month, the DA announced a coalition with 6 smaller parties with a view to the 2024 elections. However, this coalition excludes the radical left-wing Economic Freedom Fighters, EFF, the country's 3rd largest political party. The DA has a 5th of the seats in parliament and could win 16% of the vote, according to the polls. There are currently 14 parties in parliament. Justin Bemunyi, NTA News.
Now, the All Progressives Congress, APC, is intensifying efforts ahead of off-cycle governorship elections in Kogi, Imo, and Bayelsa states. This informed a tripartite meeting of the stakeholders, including the APC governors, the party's governorship candidates in the 3 states, and the national chairman of the APC, Abdullahi Umar Ganduje.
We had our meetings, part of our consultations, and also used the opportunity to listen to our national chairman, who came to brief us on the activities of the party and the proposed reforms he intended to carry out in the party. So it was just a family discussion. And inclusive is also preparation for the upcoming governorship election in 3 states.
Correspondent Salihu Gwanara reports that 14 APC governors attended the meeting held behind closed doors. Nigeria's march towards achieving a sustainable democracy is a work in progress and should be supported by all stakeholders. This formed part of the resolutions at a national dialogue on ways of ensuring sustainable democracy in Nigeria. Timothy Yusuf reports.
It's a dialogue among government, civil society groups and youth organizations with the theme, Our Democratic Stability. Discussion is on the state of the nation, focusing on leadership, national security, legislative and electoral reforms, and the economy.
What we are doing here recognizes that we are all Nigerians that want to ensure that our country is put in the right platform. This democracy has been in existence since 1999. We are about 24 years uninterrupted. How do we ensure that this democracy remains sustained, uninterrupted by any means?
Patriotism and national interest by citizens are identified as vital tools going forward.
We are praying that the steps that the government is taking on the petroleum sector, the subsidy question, will just create initial pain of the needle, but the ultimate cure for the economy and for your future will make you forgive all the pain of the present.
Participants emphasized that Nigeria's leadership role on the subcontinent should be supported by citizens, as democracy remains the best form of government. Timothy Yusuf, NTA News.
You're watching the news on NTA International. We take a break.
The Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Senator George Akume, CON, invites all ministers designate to the swearing-in ceremony to be presided over by His Excellency Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, President, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, Federal Republic of Nigeria. Scheduled as follows. Date, Monday, 21st August 2023. Venue, State House Conference Center, Presidential Villa, Abuja. Time, 10 a.m. Ministers designate are to please note that their documentation will take place at the Conference Room, General Service Office, 2nd floor, Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Saturday, 19th and Sunday, 20th August 2023. The following documents are required for documentation: curriculum vitae, birth certificate or declaration of age, and 2 passport-sized photographs. Each minister designate is to provide the names of 3 of their guests during the documentation process for access to the venue. All attendees are to be seated by 9 a.m. on the date of the swearing-in. Announcer Nnamdi Morris Mberi, PhD, FCA, NPOM, OON. Permanent Secretary, General Service Office, Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation.
Want access to all your favorite local and international shows wherever you go? Here's how. Head to showmax.com and click Try for free for 14 days. Enter your email and create password. Choose your plan and payment method that suits you and start watching. You've just opened up a whole new world of non-stop entertainment. Stream online or download the Showmax app to watch on your mobile or tablet, anywhere, anytime. Visit showmax.com now.
From humble beginnings to the extreme. extraordinary. We've witnessed incredible bonds, the rise of legends in the most challenging of times, and the most unforgettable moments that kept us at the edge of our seat. Everything up till now was just the beginning. Legends go head-to-head as timelines have collapsed for the ultimate showdown. Welcome to Big Brother Niger All-Stars.
Proudly sponsored by MoneyPoint, powering dreams. In association with HFM, online trading at its finest.
Thanks for staying with us. President Bola Tinubu has approved the establishment of the Presidential Compressed Natural Gas Initiative across the country. This transformative initiative is targeted at revolutionizing the transportation landscape in Nigeria, targeting over 11,500 new CNG-enabled vehicles and 55,000 CNG conversion kits for existing PMS-dependent vehicles, while simultaneously strengthening the country's manufacturing capacity and as well expanding local assemble and create jobs in line with the presidential directive. In a statement signed by the Special Advisor to the President, Media and Publicity, Ajurin Gilale, the landmark initiative is in line with the PCNGI's determination to ensure a seamless integration of CNG utility within the current mainstream and midstream and downstream energy value chain. The statement adds that under the aegis of the PCNGI, there will be the development of new stakeholder-operated intrastate mass transit systems built on CNG, supports for states to onboard new CNG buses as part of their intrastate mass transit network, wholesale conversion, retrofitting, and new purchase. It will also support the deployment of CNG buses through existing private mass transit operators, including new financing programs for operators. The launch of this initiative also underscores this administration's commitment to fostering a cleaner environment by reducing carbon emissions and promoting energy security through the utilization of domestic natural gas resources. The Court of Appeal sitting in Abuja has dismissed the appeals filed by a former senator representing Kogi West Senatorial District at the National Assembly, Smart Adeyemi, and that of a governorship aspirant of the All Progressives Congress APC in Kogi State, Abubakar Achimogu, seeking to nullify the governorship primary election of the party, which produced Ahmed Usman Ododo as the party's candidate for the Kogi State governorship election slated for November the 11th. Justice Muhammad Lawal Shuaibu, who led the three-man panel of justices of the court in a unanimous judgment, held that the two appeals challenging the verdict of the Federal High Court sitting in Abuja lacked merit. The court held that former lawmaker Smart Adeyemi failed to prove the criminal allegations in his case. Justice Lawal also held that the burden of proof lies on the plaintiff, who alleges irregularities in the conduct of the primary election of the APC for the nomination of its governorship candidate in for forthcoming governorship election in Kogi State. The court held on the whole that appeal is unmeritorious and it is hereby dismissed. Justice James Omotosho of the Federal High Court in Abuja had, in a judgment delivered on July the 12th, held that Smart Adeyemi did not prove his allegation that Ododo was not lawfully nominated by the APC. In the same vein, the Court of Appeal Abuja dismissed Achimogu's appeal against a judgment of a Federal High Court sitting in Abuja, which affirmed Ahmed Usman Ododo as the APC flag bearer for the November 11, 2023 governorship election in Kogi State. The appellate court held that Achimogu's appeal is bereft of merit and affirmed the judgment of the trial court. The Nigerian Television Authority, the NTA, has continued to receive accolades from the different organizations following its improved presence on all social media platforms and professional media reportage. The Director General of the NTA, Salihu Abdulhamid Dembas, has been inducted into the Hall of Fame of the Coalition of Civil Society Network, championing the course of the organization in line with emerging media trends to meet the objectives of the foremost media organization on real time across Africa. Elizabeth Omori reports.
Professionalism and commitment have been rewarded. The honors became imperative following improved programming on real-time and social media platforms by the NTA, Coalition of Civil Society Network, committed to driving the cause of youth across the nation, says the NTA has continued to promote good initiatives, uniting the nation through quality programs and factual reports.
New team have reformed NTA, not the NTA that we used to know. I will also look at, we are also here to, not only to award you, but to look at future collaboration between our organization and NTA.
I commend the management team, and I could be glad to see that person that is handling that social media team, because at least we are learning. Yes, especially that Twitter. You understand? Because even before the government agencies now release something, you see NTA and the small logo is there, and it shows that it's coming from NTA.
Obviously thrilled, the DG NTA, who was presented with the Outstanding Excellent Service Award, assured that the authority will not relent in encouraging initiatives get towards youth development and national cohesion.
Because it is only through criticisms and observations that we can grow. We are not too big, we have not arrived yet. So there is still need and there is room for improvement. So we'll count on your support. It's very, very important as the stakeholders. So this and so many other things we think collectively we'll be able to do in order to bring forth some of these laudable programs that you have.
The group urges the NTA to sustain the tempo and remain the uniting force for the nation. In Abuja, Elizabeth Omori, NTA News.
The Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security has donated anthrax vaccines to the University of Abuja as part of the campaign against zoonotic diseases. This is coming as the institution vaccinated animals within the vicinity of the university. Musa Aliyu reports.
Livestock breeders, butchers alongside most Nigerians were in a state of panic when a case of anthrax was detected in the country. The first outbreak was detected in Niger and other 2 cases in Lagos State. Under the disease control guidelines, all animals farms within 12 kilometers radius of the affected farm must be vaccinated.
Because it's a zoonotic disease, a disease that can be transmitted from animals to humans, it's of public health importance. So it's important that people are aware.
This therefore brought about this exercise in the premises of the University of Abuja.
And within the university community, we have not less than about 5,000 to 10,000 animals spread across this area. And our target is that by the time we flag it off today, we will go all out after them.
That they create education and awareness around anthrax so that we can demystify the disease and also make our public aware of how to be conscious and how to control and protect themselves against anthrax.
100,000 doses of the vaccine have earlier been donated to Niger and Lagos states by the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security in partnership with the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations.
It is my absolute pleasure to receive the 800 doses of vaccination from the Federal Ministry of Agriculture to the University of Abuja. Thank you so much for your support as always.
Veterinary officers are of the view that the country has a long way to go in preventing zoonotic diseases as long as abattoirs in the country remain unkept and animals profiling and screened before slaughtering. Musa Aliyu, NTA News.
Niger State government says it has fully adopted the disaster risk reduction mechanism to minimize flood devastation occasioned by the annual flood experience in the state. State Deputy Governor Yakubu Garba stated this when he paid a courtesy visit to the management of the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA. In Abuja, Ilyasu Yakubu reports.
Niger State has been one of the states most devastated by the annual flood disaster across the country. These meeting with NEMA, The deputy governor says is to further strengthen collaboration to reduce the risks of flooding being experienced annually in the state. He said the state has taken note of all strategies extended to them by NEMA, and work has already commenced on the clearing of drainages, evacuation of residents in flood-prone areas, as well as sensitization of the general public on the United Nations Disaster Risk Reduction Mechanism.
We have actually sensitized our people to know that actually this very year flooding may likely be different from the other one we have witnessed.
Director General of NEMA, Mustafa Habib Ahmed, commended Niger State for the steps taken so far and promised to speedily render assistance whenever is required.
We can see seriousness. The states are becoming more proactive.
The National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, has been emphasizing the need to adapt the United Nations Disaster Risk Reduction Model, which is hinged on proactive measures to mitigate disasters. In Abuja, Ilyasu Yakubu, NTA News.
Next is Saturday's weather forecast. And that's it on the news. On behalf of Courage Ogeriahi, who's been on sign language, this is Nancy Godiangonihu thanking you for watching.